Ozzy Osbourne's death at the age of 76 was just the latest in a decades-long string of tragedies for his wife of 43 years, Sharon Osbourne.
Sharon Osbourne has lived a life larger than most people could ever imagine. Fame, fortune, heartbreak, survival. She has stood beside one of rock's most notorious icons for more than 4 decades, and she has carried scars, both visible and invisible, that the world only sometimes sees.
He was so quick-witted and very vulnerable. I just thought he was the funniest, sweetest guy I'd ever met.
And now, in her later years, Sharon opens up with a vulnerability that strips away the armor of celebrity.
She talks about regret.
About mistakes she wishes she could undo. About choices that haunt her in quiet moments.
Ozzy, 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 Ozzy.
She says these are the lessons you learn only after living through the fire. She begins with Ozzy, the man who has been both her greatest love and her greatest battle. They have fought the world together, drugs, alcohol, scandal, betrayal, even violence, and yet they are still together, still bound by something deeper than destruction. But time has caught up. Sharon admits that the fear of Ozzy's death lingers in her every day. She has seen him collapse, she has watched him struggle with Parkinson's, and she has seen his body weaken after years of abuse and touring. Every hospital visit, every surgery, every fall has chipped away at her armor. She confesses that she sometimes lies awake at night.
It's Parkin 2, which is a form of Parkinson's.
She regrets every cruel word, every fight that went too far. Every night, she wished he would change, but forgot to tell him how much she loved him. In public, she was the tough manager, the sharp-tongued protector. In private, she sometimes forgot to be the gentle wife. Sharon whispers that she hopes Ozzy knows, even when she was angry, that her love for him was unshakable, that if she could go back, she would hold him closer every single day. The thought of his death is not just a fear, it is a wound that has already opened in her heart.
Ozzy, 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 Ozzy.
She regrets not treasuring every ordinary moment. But regret doesn't stop there. Sharon has also turned her sharp honesty on herself. In recent years, she admitted to using Ozempic, the drug hailed as a miracle weight loss solution. At first, it seemed easy. The pounds melted away, her body slimmed down, and in Hollywood, that kind of transformation is celebrated. But Sharon says the reality was far darker.
For me, anyway, it's different for everybody, but for me, the first few weeks was because you just throw up all the time and feel so nauseous.
Really?
Yeah.
That's their big secret? We made something that makes you throw up? And who knows? You lose weight.
No,
oh my God. What geniuses in the lab?
But I think, your stomach shrinks and you change.
Right.
I've been on it since December, but I came off a couple of months ago.
You and Kelly have been very out front about like Ozempic,
Yeah.
right? You're okay with that? Or that people talk about it?
Yeah, sure.
Has it been a positive experience for you?
Yes and no.
What's the no?
I can't put on weight now. And
So
I
that-
don't know what it's done to my metabolism, but I just can't seem to put any on because I think I went too far and then I can't put it back on.
She lost 40 pounds in a matter of months, and she couldn't stop losing. Food repulsed her. Her body began to look frail, unhealthy, almost hollow. People whispered that she had gone too far. Sharon looked in the mirror and realized she had become trapped by her own insecurity. What had started as control turned into obsession, and what felt like victory became a kind of prison. She says she regrets using Ozempic, regrets chasing a number on the scale when her body was already crying out for kindness. She admits that her vanity, her fear of aging, her desire to look perfect pushed her to a place that left her vulnerable and weak.
Kind of looked like Quasimodo because I had one eye here, one eye there, and my mouth was all kind of like this.
And now, she tells others not to make the same mistake. She says she is finished with quick fixes, finished with letting the pressure of appearance rule her choices. Sharon confesses she wishes she had given herself the grace to simply be. That same battle played out years earlier with her face. Sharon has been brutally honest about her cosmetic surgeries, even joking about them on television. But behind the humor lies something darker: regret. In 2021, she underwent what she now calls her last facelift.
Sharon Osbourne has been open about the highs and lows of her experiences with plastic surgery. During her 2022 interview with the Sunday Times, she got real about her facelift, confessing that the painful procedure lasted nearly 6 hours and left her feeling completely dissatisfied. She made it known to her surgeon, too, reportedly exclaiming, "You've got to be joking."
and I kind of looked like Quasimodo because I had one eye here, one eye there, and my mouth was all kind of like this. It was fabulous.
She described the pain as unbearable, the results as shocking. When she first saw herself in the mirror, one of her eyes looked lopsided, pulled higher than the other. She said she looked like a cyclops. Sharon laughs when she tells the story, but the laughter carries shame. She admits she spent so much money, endured so much pain, and for what? To look younger? To chase an image that was always slipping away? She confesses that the surgery made her feel disfigured, broken, humiliated. And in that humiliation came clarity. Sharon says she will never go under the knife again.
I am, yeah, sure, because, you know, you could wake up and look like Cyclops. You never know. And, like, I had this thing where they lifted up my mouth, and then for the first, like, week, I'm like, I can hardly feel my mouth now, to be honest with you. But it's, I couldn't find my mouth.
Handy in certain scenarios.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
but it's like all numb, and like it was like it was up at one side, and I looked like Elvis, and all the kids and Ozzy are going, "Why are you snarling at me?" I'm like, "I'm not snarling. I'm not doing anything." But it was this. It was going up like.
She regrets the years of chasing youth instead of accepting herself. She regrets every procedure that left her bruised, bandaged, and questioning why she couldn't love the face that had carried her through so much. And then there is the regret that still makes her shake her head in disbelief. The one that fans of film still talk about with amazement. Sharon Osbourne once stopped Ozzy from auditioning for Pirates of the Caribbean. Disney had offered him the chance to read for a part in what would become one of the most successful franchises in movie history. And Sharon said no. She thought it was silly. She thought Ozzy wouldn't be taken seriously. She thought it wasn't worth it. But as the years passed and the films became global sensations, Sharon realized she had cost Ozzy an opportunity to be immortalized on screen in a way far beyond music. She has admitted it publicly. It was her biggest mistake as his manager. She regrets underestimating him, regrets not letting the world see him in that light, regrets the arrogance that made her dismiss what could have been a magical career moment. She laughs about it now, but inside, she knows she stole from him something he might have cherished. These are Sharon's regrets. They are not the regrets of an ordinary woman. They are the regrets of someone who has lived life at the highest stakes, with the brightest lights and the deepest shadows. She admits them with brutal honesty because she knows that hiding them helps no one. She says regrets are not meant to be buried. They are meant to be confessed, examined, and then turned into lessons. Sharon Osbourne has survived fame, cancer, scandal, and heartbreak. But what haunts her are the choices she made when she thought she was protecting herself, protecting her image, or protecting Ozzy. She has learned that love, health, and authenticity are worth more than any role, any procedure, any drug. And now, she tells her story not to erase the past, but to remind others not to repeat it. Sharon Osbourne admits the thought of losing Ozzy is like a storm that never clears. Even in moments of laughter, even when their home is filled with family, dogs, and noise, the silence of that possibility sits in the corner of the room. She has watched him age. She has watched his body bend, his hands shake, his steps falter. She has sat beside him in hospital rooms, listening to the beeps of machines, staring at monitors as though they could bargain with time. And she confesses that every one of those moments becomes a mirror, showing her not just his fragility, but her own. For decades, Sharon's identity has been entwined with his, the manager, the wife, the protector, the fighter. What happens when he is gone? What is left of her? She regrets the years she spent being hard on him, the years she yelled more than she held, the years she fought with fists and words, thinking discipline was the only way to keep him alive. She knows why she did it. The drugs, the alcohol, the chaos, all of it demanded strength. But in being strong, she sometimes forgot tenderness. She sometimes forgot to simply look at him and say, "I'm glad you're still here." She wonders if Ozzy knows the depth of her love, or if sometimes it was drowned out by the sound of battles they both couldn't avoid. When Ozzy was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2003, a fact they kept private for years, Sharon's world shifted. She remembers the doctors explaining what it meant, how the disease would progress. She remembers staring at her husband, the wild man who had once been unstoppable on stage, and realizing that time had placed its hand on him. For Sharon, every tremor, every fall, every operation since then has been a reminder. A reminder that no matter how loud the music, no matter how big the stage, no one escapes mortality. And she regrets that it sometimes took illness to make her soften. She regrets that she needed crisis to remind her to hold him close. This is why her other regrets carry so much weight. The Ozempic, the facelift, even the Pirates of the Caribbean mistake, they are not just separate stories. They are reflections of the same fear. Sharon says she used Ozempic because she was terrified of losing control, terrified of aging beside Ozzy and watching herself fall apart as he struggled to stand. The pounds fell off, but so did her sense of self. She admits she looked gaunt, fragile, almost ill. In chasing control, she lost it. And every time Ozzy looked at her during that period, she wondered if he saw strength or weakness. She regrets that instead of nurturing her health, she fed her insecurity. The facelift is the same story. Sharon jokes about it, but behind the humor is sorrow. She admits that she wanted to look younger, to match the image of Ozzy she still carried in her heart, the Ozzy who leapt across stages, who made audiences roar. But the mirror gave her back something distorted, something painful. She realized that no surgery could stop time. She regrets that she wasted energy trying to fight the inevitable when she could have been spending that energy holding Ozzy's hand, treasuring the days they still had. And then there is the pirate's regret, the one she calls her biggest professional mistake. It stings not because of Hollywood, but because of Ozzy. Sharon admits she robbed him of a moment of joy, a chance to try something new, something that might have made him proud in a way music no longer could. She wonders if part of her decision came from fear of exposing him, fear of letting him step into something she couldn't control. She regrets that in protecting him, she might have diminished him. And now, as she watches him fade, that decision echoes louder. All of these regrets, Sharon says, are connected to one truth. Love is never perfect. It is messy, it is flawed, it is full of mistakes. And yet, at the heart of it, she knows she has loved Ozzy with a ferocity few people will ever understand. She says she has screamed at him, fought with him, dragged him through rehab, stood by him in courtrooms, and still, at night, whispered, "Don't leave me." Because the truth, the one that breaks her voice every time she admits it, is simple. She cannot imagine a world without him. And when that world finally comes, as it must for everyone, her deepest regret will be every single second she took for granted. Sharon Osbourne speaks often about regret, but she never does so lightly. For her, regret is not a word to toss around for small inconveniences or passing mistakes. It is heavier, a word soaked in years, soaked in blood, soaked in the sound of hospital machines and the silence of lonely hotel rooms. Every time she says it, there is a pause before and after, as if she knows the word itself contains a weight she must brace herself to lift. And at the heart of all those regrets, like a drum that never stops pounding, is the looming mortality of her husband. Ozzy's mortality is not a distant concept. It is a daily reality. For Sharon, mortality has never been abstract. She has looked it in the face too many times. She has seen Ozzy's body lying motionless after overdoses, lips blue, chest still, only for him to jolt back to life at the last possible second. She has heard doctors say the word critical more times than she can count. She has prepared herself for funerals that never came. And yet, no matter how many times he clawed back from death, the fear never left her. It grew. Each resurrection made the specter of loss more intimate, more personal. It was as if the universe was teasing her, reminding her that one day, the miracle would not arrive. And so, when Sharon looks back on her life with Ozzy, she sees it through that lens. Did I use the time well? Did I love him enough? Did I waste what little we had? These questions gnaw at her. She admits that sometimes she spent more time fighting with him than laughing with him. Sometimes she let her anger overshadow her love. Sometimes she chased perfection in the mirror, while the most imperfectly perfect thing she had, a husband who loved her despite his demons, was sitting right in front of her. Those are the memories that haunt her most now. The regret of Ozempic, she says, is not simply about the drug. It is about what it symbolized. Sharon thought she was buying time, thought she was making herself healthier, thought she was shedding years as she shed pounds. But what she found was the opposite. She lost so much weight that she felt brittle, hollowed out. Her body was shrinking, but so was her energy, her vitality. And when she looked at Ozzy, frail and trembling from Parkinson's, she realized they were both wasting away side by side. The thought pierced her. Why did I do this to myself? Why did I weaken myself at the exact moment he needed me strong? She regrets every injection, every pound lost beyond reason. She says she confused vanity with vitality, and it cost her more than she ever expected. The facelift, too, takes on a different meaning when mortality is the centerpiece. Sharon remembers waking up from that surgery in agony, her face swollen, her features distorted. She felt humiliated, felt like she had made herself into a stranger. But the deepest wound came not from her own reflection, it came from Ozzy's eyes. He looked at her with love, but also with sorrow, as if he could not understand why she would hurt herself like this. Sharon realized then that while she was chasing youth, he was losing his body to disease. While she was trying to look younger, he was simply trying to survive another day. The absurdity of it crushed her. She regrets it because it feels selfish, because it feels like she was running from the wrong enemy. Not time, but truth. And the truth was sitting beside her, holding her hand with fingers that shook. Even the Pirates of the Caribbean story is soaked in this same theme. Sharon calls it her biggest mistake in business, but privately she admits it feels bigger than business. When she blocked Ozzy from auditioning, she thought she was protecting him. She didn't want him mocked, didn't want him humiliated. She thought she was shielding him from pain. But now, as she looks at the time slipping away, she wonders if she actually robbed him of joy. She wonders if he would have loved being part of that world, if he would have laughed at the silliness, if he would have cherished the experience. She regrets not letting him have it, because when you are counting the years, the only currency that matters is memory. And she realizes now that she may have taken one away. But all these regrets, all these decisions, the weight loss, the surgeries, the career choices, they are threads in a larger tapestry. And that tapestry is mortality. Sharon knows it is coming. She knows that one day Ozzy will not wake up. She knows that one day she will have to stand at his funeral, say his name through tears, and face a world without him. And that knowledge colors everything. It makes the regrets heavier, but it also makes the love sharper. Every morning she wakes up and sees him breathing beside her. She feels a rush of gratitude. Every laugh, every silly joke, every quiet moment is a gift. She regrets the past, but she clings to the present with ferocity. And there is another layer to her regret: herself. Sharon admits she has not always been kind to herself. She has punished her body with diets, with surgeries, with drugs. She has punished her spirit with anger, with control, with fear. She regrets not being gentler with herself, because she realizes now that she cannot be the wife Ozzy needs if she is broken inside. She says that is the hardest lesson of all. Self-love is not vanity, it is survival. And she wishes she had learned it earlier. Still, for all her regrets, Sharon insists that love is the through line. Love has carried them through addiction, through affairs, through violence, through illness. Love has survived her mistakes and his. Love has survived the screaming, the crying, the endless nights of chaos. And love, she says, will outlive regret. When Ozzy is gone, she knows regret will scream louder than ever. But she also knows love will be louder still. That is Sharon Osbourne's truth. Regret and love, tangled together, circling around the shadow of mortality. She does not pretend to have all the answers. She does not pretend to be at peace. She is a woman who has lived hard, who has loved fiercely, who has made mistakes and carries them openly. And as she faces the hardest truth of all, the inevitable death of the man she has fought for her entire life, she speaks with brutal honesty. She says the regrets will always be there, but so will the love. And in the end, the love is what she will hold on to, because it is the only thing that death cannot take away. Sharon Osbourne admits that when she lies awake at night, the silence is never truly silent. She hears echoes, echoes of the past, echoes of mistakes, echoes of words she cannot take back. But above all, she hears the ticking of time. Every breath Ozzy takes beside her is a reminder that one day there will be no breath. She does not say this for drama. She says it because it is the truth, and Sharon has never been afraid of the truth, no matter how brutal. She knows the man she has loved for more than 4 decades is nearing the end of his road, and she knows she will never be ready to let him go. For the world, Ozzy Osbourne is the Prince of Darkness, the wild man of rock, the unkillable survivor of chaos. But for Sharon, he is the boy she met when he was lost, the man she dragged back from oblivion, the husband she fought and forgave, the father of her children, the soulmate who has tested her more than anyone else on earth. His mortality is not a headline for her. It is the wound that will one day split her in two. And so, when Sharon speaks of regret, it is always colored by that wound. She says she regrets the moments she let slip away, the dinners where she checked her phone instead of looking into his eyes, the nights she went to bed angry instead of pulling him close, the arguments that seemed important in the moment but are meaningless now. She regrets every time she forgot that their time was finite. She regrets treating time like a bank account with endless deposits, only to realize now that the balance is nearly empty. Her struggles with appearance seem almost absurd in the shadow of this reality. Sharon knows it. She laughs at herself sometimes, but the laughter is tinged with sadness. She remembers standing in front of the mirror, pinching her skin, criticizing every line, every wrinkle. She remembers obsessing over numbers on scales, surgeons' consultations, recovery rooms filled with pain and shame. And she remembers Ozzy, frail and trembling, looking at her with love regardless of how she looked. She realizes now that he never cared about the wrinkles. He never cared about the weight. He only cared that she was there, that she was alive, that she loved him. And she regrets every moment she wasted chasing perfection when what mattered was presence. The Ozempic episode is one of her rawest confessions. She says she thought she was doing something smart, something modern, something that would keep her youthful. The pounds melted away, and at first, she felt triumphant. But soon the triumph turned hollow. She felt weak, dizzy, unmoored. She looked gaunt, older in her thinness than she had in her fullness. And she realized she was hurting herself in pursuit of an illusion. At the very moment her husband needed her strong, she was crumbling. That irony cuts her deeply. She calls it one of her greatest personal regrets because it wasn't just vanity, it was misdirected energy. She poured her effort into sculpting her body instead of strengthening her spirit. And now, looking back, she wishes she had done the opposite. The facelift haunts her as well. Not because of vanity alone, but because of the pain it caused. She remembers the doctor pulling her skin so tight that one side of her face lifted higher than the other. She remembers looking in the mirror and feeling like she had been erased, replaced by a stranger. She remembers Ozzy's silence, his attempt at kindness, his effort not to let his face show what he felt. She regrets that moment not just because of how she looked, but because of how it hurt him to see her hurt. She regrets putting them both through it for nothing more than a fleeting fantasy of youth. And then there is the Caribbean, the lost audition, the chance that never came. Sharon shakes her head when she talks about it now. She remembers the phone call, the offer, the possibility. She remembers dismissing it, saying no before Ozzy even had a chance to try. She thought she was protecting him, but in truth she was controlling him. And now, as she faces the reality that time is running out, she wonders if that memory could have been one of his joys. She regrets robbing him of the chance to laugh on set, to play a character, to surprise the world once again. It may seem small to others, but to her it is enormous. Because when the days grow short, it is the missed joys that sting the most. Yet through all of this, Sharon insists on telling the truth. Regret does not erase love. The regrets may be heavy, but the love is heavier still. She has loved Ozzy with a ferocity that few can understand. She has fought for him, bled for him, sacrificed for him. She has stood by him through scandals, betrayals, overdoses, arrests, diagnoses. She has watched him fall and dragged him back to his feet. And she has never stopped loving him, even when he gave her every reason to. That love, she says, is the core of her life, and no regret can diminish it. Still, she cannot escape the thought of his death. It stalks her. When she watches him sleep, she wonders if his chest will rise again. When she hears a crash in the house, she wonders if he has fallen. When the phone rings unexpectedly, she braces for bad news. His mortality is a constant presence, and with it comes the endless replay of her mistakes. She wishes she had held him longer. She wishes she had kissed him more. She wishes she had told him, again and again, that he was enough just as he was. But Sharon is not a woman who surrenders easily. Even as she faces the reality of loss, she refuses to let regret consume her. She says she will use it as a teacher. She will spend every moment she is left with Ozzy in love, not anger. She will choose presence over perfection. She will let go of vanity and grasp onto gratitude. She knows she cannot stop the clock, but she can change how she spends the time. And she wants to spend it with him. Not in mirrors, not in surgeries, not in regret, but in love. For Sharon Osbourne, regret is real. It is painful. It is heavy. But it is not the end of the story. The end of the story, she insists, will be love. And when Ozzy is gone, when she finally faces the day she has dreaded all her life, it is that love that will hold her together. The regrets will always be there, but the love will outshine them. Because in the end, that is the only truth that matters.